The pardoning of Bertel Fox after 25 years of a life sentence has created a ripple of social media comments, most condemning the pardon of a man who was convicted of a double murder. According to sources, Fox was pardoned on 4th August 2022 by Governor General Sir Tapley Seaton. Fox was among two other persons who were pardoned. In 1998, Fox was convicted for murdering his former fiancée Leoka Brown and her mother Violet Brown, an act that solicited widespread condemnation on St. Kitts. The act of pardoning Fox has been described on social media as an insult to women, an affront to efforts to curb violence against women, and an insensitive decision that will affect the victim's family members. A comment by businessman Rodney Brown, the son of Violet, outlines a stunning and heartfelt trail of emotions and experiences. In one section he wrote on his Facebook page, quote, "Of course by now many would have learned of the news of Bertel Fox being pardoned for the brutal murder of my mother and sister. I also add my grandmother to the list, who died of grief after a year after her loss of her daughter and granddaughter, 3 generations vanquished by a senseless act." He continued, "I'm not quite sure of the mix of emotions I felt when I read the pardon. Insult, disrespect, disregard, and disbelief were among those for sure. Rage was bubbling, but I was able to put a lid of numbness partway on the pot." End quote. Since his release, Fox traveled to the United Kingdom, where he is now living. He was a former professional British bodybuilder. Glenn Bart reporting for SKN Newsline.
Mark Brantley, Premier of Nevis and Minister of Finance in the Nevis Island administration, says the government is cautiously optimistic with respect to the economic outlook for the island, as key indicators reflect a strong first quarter for 2022. Premier Brantley said the employment and revenue statistics on Nevis thus far are encouraging with respect to a much-needed increase in economic momentum.
And we have seen a job report from Social Security that gives us a snapshot of the position as of April 2022. We are still awaiting the formal actual figures as of June. But as of April, I believe the press and members of the public would be pleased to know that on the island of Nevis, the number of employees increased by 3.5% over last year. The number of jobs in Nevis increased by 5.9% over the same period last year. The gross monthly wages increased by 12% over the same period in 2021. The gross monthly wages per employee increased by 8.1% over that same period in 2021. And the gross monthly wages per job increased by 5.7% on the island of Nevis over the same period in 2021. Now, those are the categories that are measured by Social Security. As I always like to point out, there are still people who are self-employed or people who are perhaps in the informal sector, informal economy, whose job numbers would not be recorded at Social Security.
The Premier, who is also responsible for tourism and human resources, revealed that employment and income levels on the island are trending upwards. This, he said, is another sign of economic recovery in the post-COVID-19 pandemic era. Andre Huey, SKN Newsline. The SKN Newsline newscast is brought to you by Smart Electronics, the way to live a smart life, and Tiranga Restaurant for the finest in Indian cuisine. Excellent Indian cuisine, fine dining. It's Tiranga Restaurant at the Royal St. Kitts Plaza in Frigate Bay. Tiranga offers the authentic flavors of Indian cuisine in a warmly adorned 150-seat restaurant. Named after the tricolor flag of India, Tiranga comprises of traditional and regional-inspired Indian cuisine. The restaurant offers a sophisticated fine dining experience with a charming staff, discreet service, and tantalizing food that few can compete with. Call 662-5846 or visit tirangastkitts.com. Tiranga Restaurant, a taste of authentic India.
Smart and Island Electronics brings to you the Super Summer Cool-On Sale from July 21st until October 30th. Get amazing discounts on the widest range of gadgets, electronics, and appliances. But because it's summer, you get double discounts on hall fans, refrigerators, and air conditioners. And don't forget to ask about our easy layaway plans. Good news for the people of Nevis. Smart Electronics is coming to Nevis at a convenient location just opposite Best Buy. So visit our stores at Smart Electronics on Port Zonte and Island Electronics on Ford Street. Terms and conditions apply. Our COVID-19 protocols will be observed.
When visiting St. Martin, you want clean, affordable accommodations. You need Midtown Motel in the heart of Phillipsburg, a place where you can relax, take a stroll on Great Bay Beach, and that provides you easy access to great shopping. Midtown Motel, located on Front Street, Phillipsburg, St. Martin. Call Midtown Motel at 721-542-0614 and book your stay today.
The SKN Newsline website now offers you more news. Log on to www.sknnewsline.com for local, regional, and international news. You can also watch the latest newscast and keep abreast with news in sports, all from sknnewsline.com. That's www.sknnewsline.com. News at your fingertips.
When you're looking to sell, buy, rent, or manage a property, your answer has to be Diamond Real Estate and Management St. Kitts, Dreams. They provide oversight of real estate and physical property in St. Kitts and Nevis, perform regular maintenance, utility payments, and safety checks to ensure your property is well kept. Dreams manages and optimizes your rental listing, recruits tenants, and much more. Looking to sell that parcel of land or property, or dreaming of owning your own? Trust Dreams under the leadership and experience of its CEO, Velma Merchant. Many can attest to her professionalism and customer service. Diamond Real Estate Management St. Kitts. Call 663-7326 or visit their office at 15 Shadwell Industrial Estate, making your real estate dreams come true.
According to Caribbean political strategist Hartley Henry, the dynamics in constituency number 8 of the St. Kitts and Nevis general elections involved gentle persuasion of PAM voters to support Dr. Terence Drew, the Labour candidate who would be Prime Minister if the SKNLP won the elections. Hartley was speaking on The Narrative, hosted by Callistra Farrier of Carib Update, when he made the comments. He pointed to the fact that PAM's former candidate for the constituency, Eugene Hamilton, had indicated he would not contest the seat. A political strategist for the SKNLP, Hartley believed it was important not to be abusive to the PAM electorate, rather to persuade them that supporting the SKNLP was a better option.
With the outgoing Member of Parliament essentially distancing himself from PAM in that campaign, we anticipated and we essentially more or less hoped that the base of PAM would not have come out. And in our canvassing of the constituency, we recognized that if we went easy on PAM, if we did not become abusive to the outgoing member, if we gave him the respect that was due, we felt that his supporters would either have remained at home or supported us quietly. And that is why we never kind of sought to have a show of strength in the constituency. We were confident we would have won it, but I think we wanted to do a level of shock and awe in terms of giving the PAM the view that it could continue to treat it as a stronghold, but we knew that Dr. Drew was making serious inroads. And I think that our climax activities, where you saw I would have engineered for two of our 3 last events to be held in constituency, that is when I wanted to left no stone unturned and to send a clear message, that Dr. Drew is winning, and he's winning big, and therefore you have a chance of having the next Prime Minister within the next 48 hours. And I think that went very well with the electorate, and they embraced that idea.
The 2022 general elections was called 3 years ahead of schedule after the collapse of the three-party Team Unity coalition, which now lead all 3 PAM, CCM and PLP on the opposition benches in the National Assembly of St. Kitts and Nevis. Glenn Bart reporting for SKN Newsline.
Director General of UNESCO, Audrey Azoulay, said the organization is trying to be the body for young people. Delivering Ms. Azoulay's address on the occasion of International Youth Day observed on Friday, August 12th, was Secretary General of the St. Kitts and Nevis Commission for UNESCO, Dorothy Warner.
Now more than ever, UNESCO is striving to be the organization for young people. We are working with our member states to support youth in the areas of our mandate. This is essential work at a time when only 1 out of every 2 young persons in the world consider their mental well-being as satisfactory. Young people are at the very heart of UNESCO's action in education. We are mobilizing so that we not only rethink but also protect our action, particularly in response to the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on our youth.
Ms. Warner said UNESCO not only works for young people, but with young people.
Faced with environmental emergencies and growing inequalities, young people are once again at the forefront, defending gender equality and human rights. Whether it is the dynamism of young researchers in all fields of science, or the commitment of young people in the service of heritage and in the biosphere reserves, or their mobilization against racism and discrimination, UNESCO places the concerns, creativity, and innovative strength of young people at the heart of its program and its reflection. The purpose of our Youth as Researchers initiative, launched 2 years ago, is to support young researchers' projects on the effects of the pandemic that has impacted them so strongly.
August 12 was first designated International Youth Day by the United Nations General Assembly in 1999 and serves as an annual celebration of the role of young women and men as essential partners in change and an opportunity to raise awareness of challenges and problems facing the world's youth. I'm Andre Huey for SKN Newsline. If you're looking for a place to host that special event, conference, meeting, social event, party, whatever the occasion, your best option is the Millhouse Convention Center in Palmetto Point, St. Kitts. Located on the picturesque Garvey's Estate, the Millhouse Guest House Convention Center has enough space for outdoor events overlooking the Caribbean Sea. If you're looking indoors, the center is equipped with amenities needed to make your event a success. And by combining both spaces, you're sure to have a memorable event, no matter the occasion. Call the offices at Millhouse Guest House and Convention Center to book your next event on simply the most beautiful place in St. Kitts. Call 668-1392. Millhouse Convention Center at Garvey's Estate, Palmetto Point, St. Kitts. Making your event memorable. It's the new and improved SKN Newsline Android mobile app. With the SKN Newsline app, you can watch your news reports, the SKN Newsline Newscast, sports, special features, and so much more. You can also send us a WhatsApp or call us directly. Go in the Google Play Store, search SKN Newsline, and download the app today. The SKN Newsline mobile app. News on the go.
An open interactive event can be described as
tremendous, effective,
on par with any conference around the world.
From exhibitions to trade shows, corporate events to product launches, from press events to political functions. We are the secret sauce behind events that make you go, wow. We've staged multiple world-class events in the Caribbean and developed the skill to deliver quality in every detail, whether the event is live or fully virtual, or maybe even somewhere in between. At Open Interactive, we got your events covered. Get your free quotation today at www.madebyopen.com.
When visiting St. Martin, you want clean, affordable accommodations. You need Midtown Motel in the heart of Phillipsburg, a place where you can relax, take a stroll on Great Bay Beach, and that provides you easy access to great shopping. Midtown Motel, located on Front Street, Phillipsburg, St. Martin. Call Midtown Motel at 721-542-0614 and book your stay today.
Online radio has never been this great. It's Voice of the Caribbean Radio at voiceofthecaribbean.net. Tune into Voice of the Caribbean Radio for great Caribbean programs, news, entertainment, sports, and current affairs. Wake up each morning and be inspired with One Day at a Time with Kim Huey. Stay abreast with news across the Caribbean and internationally with the Caribbean News Hour, and be entertained with shows like Reggaeville, Caribbean Classics, and Jive Music Show. Visit our website, download our Android mobile app, or listen us on TuneIn Radio. There is so much more on Voice of the Caribbean Radio, reaching the Caribbean and beyond. Check website or app for program schedule.
Big tonight, lawyers for Grenada's world javelin champion Anderson Peters are preparing to file a civil suit against the operators and promoters of a party boat called Harbour Master after an incident last night in which the world-class athlete was injured during a scuffle in St. George's. Well-known local lawyer Derek Sylvester has reportedly taken the brief for Peters, who had returned home only Monday, a day after copying a silver medal at the Commonwealth Games in England. Anderson Peters and another man named Kidon Peters, believed to be his brother and from the same village of Subies, were reported to have been assaulted. Prosecutors in St. George's are also looking at bringing criminal charges against 5 men said to be operators from Trinidad who were working on the boat and who are implicated in the much talked about incident. The men, we have been told, include the boat's 42-year-old captain Noel Cooper. The other men are said to be 54-year-old John Alexander, as well as sailors 35-year-old Mackil John, Lance Wiggins, 45, and Shane Jack, 28. The men have reportedly retained local lawyer Dylan Charles. There were varying reports about exactly what transpired at the end of an after-carnival party boat cruise. Peters and some other friends were said to be part of a cruise that was ending when the boat pulled in on the Carnage in early evening, apparently getting ready for another cruise. Sources say the world champion and some friends wanted to join the second cruise and had offered to pay to do so. What transpired next and how it got out of hand are part of the main subjects for investigators in Grenada. Sports promoter Dexter Mitchell, who saw social media postings of video of the altercation, told WPG-10 that the treatment of Peters, who was also thrown into the water, was difficult to fathom.
It was very difficult to look at the video, to read some of the eyewitness accounts. I actually went down to the Carnage last night and I was able to speak to some of the people who were on the boat and get some first-hand accounts. It's very difficult. It's a tough time to meet, being a Grenadian and seeing somebody who has done so much for our country and in recent time being treated the way he was. Obviously, there might be more to the story, but what we saw was an assault on essentially someone who's a national hero. And I am happy that the RGPF responded quickly. The assailants were arrested, and we look forward to further updates from the police as to what will transpire.
Mitchell said while Peters was injured, they are not likely to be career-threatening.
There were some bruises on his legs and on his hands. I think he might have received a thump across his face, so there was a bit of swelling last night. But I think that was the extent of the injury. Obviously, he will be analyzed going forward, make sure his back is okay, make sure his shoulders are okay, and so on. But in the short term, it was just some bruises and I think some swelling on his face.
Mitchell said Peters is among Grenada's finest young people.
We have some outstanding young men representing us. And in my experience with athletes, athletes are some of the most disciplined people in the world. So it is far-reaching to imagine that Anderson Peters would have done anything on that boat to warrant what we saw happen to him. I am not convinced, and hopefully when all the facts are tabulated and put out, that will be a out, and the persons who assaulted him will be prosecuted to the full extent of Grenada's law.
Peters is a member of the St. David's Trackblazers Sports Club, which says it vehemently reproves such treatment of one of Grenada's most successful athletes, but more so, such treatment being meted out to a human being. For its part, the Grenada Athletic Association says it strongly condemns the alleged assault on Grenada's double world champion. According to GAA, what was done to Peters was inhumane and brutal and should not be imposed upon any human being. This is Primetime Caribbean. Stay with us for more news straight ahead.
From the time it was revealed locally that the senator, in her quest to unseat the incumbent Baroness Patricia Scotland, hired an international marketing firm to conduct her media affairs, many brows were raised. Journalists questioned the rationale for the move behind Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith's choice of Finn Partners. But it was only recently disclosed that a June 6 filing by Finn Partners, Inc. with the U.S. Justice Department under the United States Foreign Agents Registration Act, FARA, named the senator as the client herself and not corporate Jamaica as was initially reported. It highlighted that the minister hired the company in April to, among other things, provide media relations and content strategy and development for her bid. This at a reported cost of $99,000. That would leave just over $3 million for the plethora of expenses outlined by the Office of the Prime Minister that reported the campaign cost taxpayers $18.2 million Jamaican dollars. CVM International Affairs contributor and former ambassador to the United Nations, Curtis Ward, who broke the story, says this development has raised significant concerns.
Neither the Prime Minister nor the Foreign Minister can continue to remain silent. They must come clean. As it is, the Foreign Minister's credibility is compromised, and as long as she serves in that post, so is Jamaica's foreign policy and international credibility.
While he lauds the work of the local groups now demanding answers on the spend for the Senator's Commonwealth Secretary-General campaign, he admits,
"It is quite troubling when the government knowingly and deliberately makes false statements to the public and is comfortable in believing no one will raise questions as to the veracity of those statements. Worse, if the government believes the people will be intimidated and remain silent when the government obfuscates and lies to the public. The government should not expect to betray the trust of the people with impunity. There must be transparency and accountability."
Nika Lewis, CVM Live.
The rallies united Brazilians from all ages and walks of life. Trade union leaders and left-wing politicians standing side by side with businessmen, bankers, and students.
We have created a great front if we want to defend Brazil's democracy from President Jair Bolsonaro's attacks.
This is a unique moment when businessmen and workers join efforts to defend democracy.
The main rally was at the University of São Paulo's law school, where a similar event was held 45 years ago against Brazil's military dictatorship. Crowds gathered inside the building and in the courtyard to listen to two manifestos, both defending Brazil's democratic institutions, less than 2 months before October's presidential elections.
Our democracy is facing immense danger. Our institutions are at risk from insinuations and contempt for the results of the elections.
The manifestos were drawn up after President Jair Bolsonaro stepped up his attacks on Brazil's Supreme Court and electronic voting system. In July, he told a group of foreign ambassadors that the elections could be easily rigged. Polls show Bolsonaro trailing behind former President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. The movement in defense of Brazil's democracy grew over the past weeks, spreading to at least 20 state capitals, among them Rio de Janeiro. Crowds gathered at universities here in Rio and in other cities to listen to the manifestos being read. People here say they must show their unity on the streets to ensure that democracy and the rule of law prevail. Monica Yanakiev, Al Jazeera, Rio de Janeiro.
We continue our features on the teams competing in the SKNFA Premier League Super 6 playoffs. Today, we feature Hobson Enterprises Garden Hotspurs. Spurs have improved tremendously this season. They finished second in the SKNFA Premier League regular season with 49 points. They produced some exceptional performances, losing only 3 times this season. Their coach, Austin Deco Huggins, is a former Spurs legend and a national player. He believes his team is ready for the playoffs.
Confidence-wise, is very good. I think the guys are ready for the 6. We got a little fine-tuning to be done, but confidence-wise, we are quite ready.
Spurs' biggest challenge has always been scoring goals, something that Coach Huggins will be working on with his team ahead of the playoffs.
Possession was one of the key points. The counter-attack and also the aggression in terms of when we lose the ball, transitioning from offense to defense to offense. So those are the key points, and we just need to improve upon them and get a little more fit up going into the 6.
Can the team from Central Bastille deliver Premier League glory to the football-hungry communities of The Garden, Matt Knight and Irish Town? We will all know when the time comes.
Welcome to the SKN Newsline Weather Report. I am Janil Boone. Here is a look at the forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. For a more detailed weather report, visit our website at www.sknnewsline.com.